Alrighty, YouTubers, let's get to another video. So, if you're not part of my Facebook group, Flankster Statue Collectors, be sure to join, where I interact with you guys, talk about potential plans and whatnot. And today I'm making a video on one of those potential plans, more or less. Just, I've been presented with a statue I've kind of wanted for 7 years, more or less, and I wanted to go over it with you guys. So, this is a Lord of the Rings statue. So, also, if you guys are looking to buy any statues, please use the links below. But as of right now, this is kind of my current plan for Lord of the Rings. Now, I technically do have Infinity Studios Nazgul bust on PO, but based off my current space allotment, there's zero chance I can fit it, basically. Although, it's possible. The problem is, on top of a garage shelf, I'm about an inch short of being able to fit the sword. So the only way I'm going to fit that sword is A, if they had dimensions off wrong and it actually will fit, or B, I cut a hole in the ceiling, or we just don't display the sword. I feel like not displaying the sword, though, is what's the point of getting it? You're literally just getting a black cloth with two hands holding a sword hilt. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that's not worth nearly $2,000. Screw that. So unless I can fit the sword, there's no way in heck I'm going to get that piece because it just won't look good. So, but as of right now, this is kind of the plan. We do Lurtz, bust with the Lurtz 1/4 and Berserker Uruk-hai. And hopefully I can still fit like the two orcs on each side of Sauron. That's kind of the idea. And then I should be able to fit these two just very tightly, the Morgul Lord and Nazgul. Beneath, you'd have the Trinity, and then here was just Frodo, Saruman, Gandalf. And I could definitely fit another statue there if something's tight. I'm quite confident I could even probably do Nazgul down there with Frodo, Gandalf, and Saruman. Just because those two, the two sideshows, take up so little space. Like, literally so little space. And I could easily throw them in the back of each corner and then have Frodo and Nazgul. And in that case, let's just say hypothetically, I did do Nazgul there and put Nazgul bust there if it fit, then that's how that would work. That way you'd have a bust on each side. Anyways, this is kind of like the current plan. Of course, you got Balrog and Felbeast there. Now, the idea is we get the Cave Troll instead of Lurtz bust in this setup. Now, move Frodo there, by the way. But in essence, you do a Cave Troll, which he is 42 inches wide. So he's literally base to base, almost touching Sauron. And then I was thinking of on maybe a display riser or something, throwing the orc on each side of Sauron. And then again, these two. And then the big difference here now is now we have to put Lurtz and Berserker down low. Now I can definitely do Gandalf, Saruman, Lurtz, and Berserker. I'm very confident I can fit all them, and then Frodo would have to go with the Trinity in this scenario. But look how incredibly massive that Cave Troll is, and it's probably a little bit bigger than this in actual person. It's 36.5 inches tall. Now, Sauron is 43, so he'll still be the king of all the Lord of the Rings, but this, I think, will, in general, probably have a little bit more presence because it's much wider and deeper. Now, this base is 25 inches deep. So it's going to fit the garage shelf, but his hand, that hand, and possibly that, will stick out of the garage shelf, just so you are aware. So that is one negative, is the hand sticks out probably 10 inches. And the hammer, I don't know the exact amount of it sticking out, and I believe in general that hammer rests on the ground, so I may need to put something there so it doesn't fall out, because I think that's part of, the reason it can stay there, because it's a massive hammer. So the great thing about this setup, I get a massive Cave Troll. Because right now my current Cave Troll is the Little Iron Studios one, which detail and concept-wise is awesome. It's just too tiny, for my display. It just looks out of place. I do like it for sure. I just wish it was 1/4 scale, So let me show you guys some more pictures of this Cave Troll. Now, if you're unfamiliar with this Cave Troll, this came out in 2015. It's made by a studio called Halimau, which is from the Philippines, and it actually means monster in Tagalog. Now, their owner, I believe, is the same guy who does the XM LBS line, like the Hulk, the Thor, the Captain, J-Sai. So now they're like doing licensed pieces, but back then they were doing all unlicensed. So here is a pretty decent image. You can see next to Sonya and Jack Sparrow, those are 1/4 scale, just how massive this piece is. Now, this piece is not flawless. Of course, there is some issues. Here's a size comparison next to Saruman. And it is slightly taller, like above him. Actually, looking at it, I don't believe I need anything there because it's resting on the base. But, detail-wise, I think it looks pretty darn good. I mean, it's no Prime 1 statue, but it's a Sideshow PF detail at a minimum. It's Sideshow PF detail. So you got this pretty large Moria-themed base with some axes. Now, there is an exclusive that has, like, the tomb of that dwarf, I forget his name, down the middle, but unfortunately the one I would be getting is the regular, not the EX. So I would probably just put some like skulls and Lord of the Ring 1/4 scale themed stuff to the base to just make it look cooler. So he got what I can tell, just a brown loincloth. There is a seam line right there where the hand inserts, and there's also a seam for this hand as well. So there's two pretty nasty seam lines. In addition, there actually is a seam on the base because the base comes in two pieces just because it's so big. So, that's a slight, eyesore. You can see the seam right there. Right there. And then the other seam is right, like, there. So, 3 seam lines. They're kind of minimal, but it does have 3 seam lines. Now, look at it next to a freaking piano. Like, are you kidding me? This thing is monstrously big. So it's definitely going to have that presence, like extreme presence, which I really like. And I really like cave trolls. I think they're awesome creatures, and I've always loved them from Lord of the Rings. And for me, more or less for Lord of the Rings, I kind of have all the crucial characters that I want here. The only thing that I would want additionally, I would love an Azog, even though it's Hobbit. I would love a good Galadriel, just because watching Ring of Power is making me really like her character. And I love Cate Blanchett from the, main Lord of the Rings trilogy and from The Hobbit. I've always been a fan of her. So if Prime 1 made a, Galadriel, I would prefer, Cate Blanchett version. I would definitely probably want to get that. I know they're making Boromir, which I love the actor. I don't think it's crucial to my setup just because he, died in the first movie. I do not want Merry, Pippin, or Sam. And I don't care for like King Theoden or any of the other side characters. I'd only honestly be tempted with, I guess, Galadriel. Galadriel is probably my biggest temptations. Maybe slightly Boromir just because he would pair great with Lurtz. And I love the actor, Sean Bean. But for me, I would say a cave troll is more important because I love the creatures. And I already have orcs, I got Uruk-hai, I got the Nazgul. So the cave troll, and I got Balrog and dragon. So cave troll is definitely the most important one. Unfortunately, these photos are small, but you can see just size comparison next to the old Sauron by, Sideshow. And let me show you one last pick. And this is a hypothetical scenario where I went all out, balls in Lord of the Rings. And I took over one of the garage shelves from Kong and Godzilla. If I did that, I could actually fit both busts. Let's just say I poked a small hole in my ceiling. I could always repair that easily. Should I ever move or whatever. But in this scenario, I actually definitely could fit an additional, 1/4 right there next to Nazgul and Frodo, because that won't take up the entire shelf. So, I could actually fit another 1/4 in this setup, have the cave troll, have both busts, and I think that looks ultimate. I'm like, oh my gosh, that looks so good. I could definitely get like Boromir or Galadriel, have the cave troll, and I think this would look freaking legit. And I'm quite confident I could fit all this top shelf stuff. I'm not 100% sure on the 2 orcs. They don't take up a lot of space. This would take up a whole garage shelf. That doesn't take up that much. And then he would take up, an entire garage shelf, but it's between 2. So he can take up half a garage shelf. He can take up half a garage shelf. So I don't know about the 2 orcs, but I could definitely fit everything else. And I really like this idea. I'm like, dang, that is sick. That would look real darn good. But if I did that, I would have to severely downsize my Godzilla vs. Kong display. We'd basically do King Ghidorah, Godzilla vs. Kong. That's it. We would have to sell Kong vs. Skullcrawler, not buy Mecha Godzilla, which I'm kind of okay not getting that. And then cancel Kong bus. So no bus, no additional characters, just that. And then I'd still keep Balrog and Felbeast just right there because I think it fits because they're, more or less similar type creatures. So I'd have to severely downsize that. I'd keep just the two best pieces. So, I don't like the idea of downsizing my Godzilla vs. Kong. I also like the idea of not having to spend $3,500 on that darn Kong bust. Thing's so pricey. I do like this idea for sure because I really like that cave troll. People in my Facebook group were commenting about it saying, don't do it. I would say the majority say don't do it. Some were like, do it. Now, those who own this cave troll, I've spoken to a few people, they really like the piece. They say it has great paint apps, great detail, incredible presence. Now, here's my little Iron Studios one, which as you can see, it looks pretty okay next to Balrog and Felbeast. Technically, it's overscaled compared to next to them. Right now, though, having Lurt's bust, I really do need another bust there to, I can't have just one bust. It looks off. So I definitely need to get the Nazgul bust in this display. So, yeah, I definitely need the Nazgul bust. Now, I do like the idea of moving this because I don't like that right there just because it's very dangerous when I'm turning the light on and off and walking by it. If I walked into that claw, then boom, that thing's broken off and I'd be so effing mad. So I would much prefer that right there. Much more safe right there. I hate the idea of putting Godzilla vs. Kong down low again. That pisses me off because I really want that to be up high because it's going to be one of my best statues and it deserves top level treatment. I also really like the idea of my Godzilla vs. Kong display right now. I feel like it's going to look really sick having Godzilla vs. Kong and, Godzilla or Kong bust, Mecha Godzilla. I feel like it's perfect. So I hate the idea of ruining this display to improve this display. So, it's a really tough one because I really do want that cave troll. I feel like the best thing is to not touch this, only use this, but selling Lurt's bust, we'd have to sell Lurt's bust in the cave troll, then it's definitely going to be quite tight in the Lord of the Rings display. Realistically, I think, we could definitely fit the cave troll there. Fitting the two orcs, maybe. Which is called a very small maybe. We could definitely fit at least Nazgul and Morgul Lord there. Boom, boom, they would fit. We could do Trinity, and Frodo's quite a small piece, so I feel like I could, fit him. And then we'd have to do, Lurtz, Saruman, Berserker, Gandalf in that display. Which I'm quite confident they could fit. Berserker, he's bigger than Lurtz, but Gandalf and Saruman are freaking tiny. So I feel like it could work. So I'm really kind of leaning towards that option because the Nazgul bust, it looks cool, yes, but at the end of the day, it really just is a black cloth with some hand armor holding a sword. Because that's what they are. It's cool, but it's also like there's literally zero detail in the face. It's just a black cloth. I could look at a freaking garage shelf and see just probably more detail. Goodness. So I'm like, yeah, that's cool, but it's also like a lot of money for just a cloth and some hands and a sword. Now, Lurt's bust is definitely very impressive. It's a very cool looking creature. The face is 10 out of 10. Absolutely phenomenal detail, and it looks great next to this. It's definitely far more detailed than that. Look at that face, and look at that. That looks like a real freaking orc in real life. So I don't like the idea of selling that. I think it would almost be better just to move it, possibly to my creature wall, because it is a creature, which sucks moving it away from the Lord of the Rings setup. Technically, yes, it can fit down low, but then you can't see the face, and what's the point if you can't see the face? So we're going to have to just move it or sell it. That's the only option. Move or sell it, and we definitely have to sell the 1/10 cave troll, Frodo, Gandalf, well, not Frodo, sell at least Gandalf the White to do the cave troll. So I wanted to get your guys' opinion on this matter. What do you think? Now, if any of you do own this Halimau Cave Troll 1/4, can you please let me know your opinions below? How good is it? Will it look good in this display? Is it going to look super outdated? And, oh yeah, that just doesn't match. Because, I mean, when I compare, like, Saruman to Lurtz, I think Saruman fits in perfectly fine detail-wise. It's not like I look at that and I'm like, oh, that looks so outdated. Not at all. I think it pairs perfectly fine. Now, I wish the bases matched a little bit better, you know, but size-wise and detail-wise, I think, yeah, Prime 1 is definitely a little bit better, but not, you know, drastically better. Because I think Sideshow did a really good job in their Lord of the Ring pieces. You know, like Saruman, he looks freaking fantastic. His cloth is high quality, and, you know, it's a great looking piece. So in the Cave Trolls as good as that Saruman, no doubt. Looking at lots of photos, I think it's really good. Although I gotta admit, I do think the 1/10 Cave Troll has actually better detail, in all honesty, which is kind of annoying to get a bigger piece not as detailed. And I'm like, ugh. You know, that Cave Troll's actually done exceptionally well. Detail and paint up, Iron Studios killed it. So I think it's a little notch below that, in all honesty. But it still is good. And it's massive. Like, it's going to be as tall as Shockwave, but as big as this entire garage shelf. It's like, that's going to be a statement piece and very impressive. Let me show you one additional photo. Alrighty, so here is, I forget the guy's name, but a massive Lord of the Rings collection. And he has the Cave Troll, and I asked him, and he said he loved it. And just look at that. That thing is so freaking cool and awesome and huge in that collection. You know, you look at it next, like the Smog and Felbeast, and those are pretty decent sized busts, and it just dwarfs them. It is freaking huge and just dwarfs everything. You know, so when I see it like this, I'm like, dang, yeah, I want that. Although my final thing I want to say, if Prime 1 makes a Cave Troll and it's drastically better than this, instant regret, and this piece I will not be able to resell for what I paid for it. So that is one big hurdle as well, as will Prime 1 make a Cave Troll 1/4? If they do, instant regret. I mean, it's a pretty large piece, but Prime 1 likes to do those big pieces. You know, Shockwave, Wonder Woman on horse, Sauron. So I think it's very possible they could do a Cave Troll. I'd probably put it at least a 25% chance Prime 1 makes a Cave Troll. And the moment they do, boom, this thing would lose resale value, and I'd instantly want to sell it and get the Prime 1. You know, so Prime 1 kills it on their pieces and definitely would make a better Cave Troll than this custom. You know, this is a Philippine custom, and I've had Filipino customs before, granted not from Halimau, but from another studio. I got, and I was very disappointed and regretted getting those. I thought they were terrible quality. Although the thing is that same studios produced statues nowadays that people got and loved it. So, but this is a 7-year-old Filipino custom. So, anyways, folks, if you guys have any insights on this Cave Troll, would love to hear your thoughts below. Any of my Filipino friends, if you've seen this in person, let me know how the quality is. Would it look good in my display? Is it worth $2,000? That is it. Like, comment, subscribe. Have a great day.